I want to start by just saying, thanks to HelmBot for letting us set up this conversation, and thanks to HelmBot for all the support that they've given the FTA in providing the platform that we love to use, that being HelmBot. It's a great thing that we're able to meet like this, and I think that the presentation I'm going to offer is going to provide a lot of value. I'm hoping that Graham can kind of, or any other representatives from HelmBot can kind of, come in at times potentially and talk about some of the things, and maybe lead some of the discussion. But if not, that's okay. I'm here to kind of go along with the, kind of pseudo script that I've come up with and talk about what it seems like is interest in the industry, and that was kind of taken through polls and whatnot. This presentation is kind of a group collaborative with the FTA, presented through a marketing committee that includes James Harder, Greg Griffin, Angela McAllister, Marie Bittner, Drew Kane, and myself. And of course, if anyone that's just joining now is listening in, we're also joined with Graham Talley from HelmBot. I'll real quickly just kind of introduce myself. My name is Jonathan Roug from FloatLight. I'm an FTA member and a HelmBot user. And, why they picked me to do this, I don't know. But no, actually, I like to teach people. And I'm very passionate about HelmBot. I love the software, and I think that if you're joining us now and you use it, or if you don't and you're kind of on the fence, I think that this might help you kind of make an educated decision of whether or not HelmBot is something that might work for you. So if anybody's curious what HelmBot is, this is taken directly from their website. It's software for appointments and business management, appointment scheduling, point of sale, staff management, marketing automation, and a whole lot more. And there's a lot more, which I really love about the software. So enough slides. And this is something that I really love. I love that it's called HelmBot or just Helm, because we're really all captains of the ship, and it's just really cool to feel like a captain, So I kind of have a demo account here set up, provided to me by HelmBot. And one of the things that I think would be a really good thing to kind of just talk about is give a brief tour of the platform itself. Just for anybody that doesn't and isn't aware, and I don't want to spend too much time on one thing, but you guys probably or maybe familiar with what the Helm actually looks like. But just a few tips. When you first get set up, you're actually going to be prompted with this checklist here, which is really useful and helpful in setting up the Helm. It kind of gives you the rundown, filling out a complete social media profile so that you get the best, most optimized use of the system. When I was reading earlier too, and this is something that was prompted, when you first get set up, you're definitely going to want to click me. And anything that's in orange in the Helm is kind of interest and something that demands attention. And I find that to be very useful. So with that said, definitely fill out your checklists. And just a quick navigation of the system itself. There is the user end side, or the admin side, and then there's the front-facing side of the platform. And for anybody that doesn't know, that's kind of what this looks like. One thing I love about this platform is that it's very visual. I've never seen anything like this, and we get compliments all the time of people telling us how easy it is to book. Of course, you get your store, gift cards, and everything's kind of laid out perfectly for anybody to make a decision to purchase, and it's kind of a way of them managing their profiles in the Helm itself. From the front here, you get the kind of visual view of all of the different services, the rooms, your schedule, so to speak. The way that I set up my demo platform here is actually just mirrored exactly how I set up mine at my float center, FloatLight. But you guys might have different ideas and different strategies, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Each room represents each column here. Of course, you have sales, and there's a lot of other things that we could talk about, but I think that just by going through this entire presentation, we're going to we're going to learn where things are located and other things like that. So the structure of this whole entire presentation kind of goes a little bit like this. Um, I'd like to kind of just start off with what I feel, and maybe again, Graham or whomever can kind of coin in and give their take on it. But I feel like there's this like design philosophy that goes very deep with the helm, and it's unique. It's almost like you get different layers of things. So, for instance, we'll talk about services, single services that to me are like predefined time slots or blocks, so to speak. Packages, which this is where I think a lot of people are going to actually be um, are going to learn how I look at packages a little bit differently than maybe what you would look at them and say, oh, that's what they're for. Packages are kind of like wrappers, okay? They allow you to wrap the services in them, and they do more than just allow you to sell one thing or sell multiple things. They can be used as a naming convention, setting expirations and other types of settings for that specific credit. And I know some of you guys might have discovered this, but it surprises me whenever I talk to anybody who's been using the Helm that, wow, that's a really great idea. And I'll show you some of the ways that I utilize that. Um, Gift cards are pretty self-explanatory, but there's some amazing updates. Every time I look at the update tab, I get so excited. It's like a Christmas present for me. Um, and then, of course, we'll talk a little bit about, you know, just some of the more advanced uses of those packages and gift cards. We'll talk about the requested topic, which just so happens to seem like people want to know how to track gift card usage. And I think I have a strategy for doing so very effectively. And then a little bit of reporting and bookkeepers. And then, of course, we'll end on some questions and maybe like a really valuable thing that I don't know if anyone's had the opportunity to do yet is just kind of ask the developers or ask the folks behind the helm, and that would be a great thing. I think that if we could do that today. So, with that said, I kind of briefed a little bit on the structure and the theories, but I wanted to just dive right in and show you guys a couple things that I do to make the best use of the helm itself. And this is something I've never showed anyone yet before, but we'll start with the services section here. So, with services being provided by the Helm, again, these are single services that represent a predefined time slot in your booking system. And there's different ways that you can kind of look at this. But the way that I have it, I have two different services that I'm representing here. I have floats and massages. Now, something that's unique that you're going to see and that you might be able to take away from this is I have one called accounts. You'll understand what that means in a second because for me, it's been a genius way of moving things from one thing to another. And also this whole float bucks concept here. So in the packages section, and of course, I could show you, we could talk about how to build multiple services into one specific package that offers a discount. But the great thing about packages are, as wrappers, is that they can essentially hold information that can be conveyed to people differently than if you were to just sell them one package. So, for instance, I have this one called Cancellation Policy, First Time Exception, 45-day expiration. This serves a hugely valuable purpose for what we do at my float center and maybe something that you could offer that has essentially reduced customer service issues almost completely when it comes to having to charge someone and providing a service credit. Now, I don't ever want to offer somebody something that is representative of $0 that exists in my accounting system forever, so if I give a credit to somebody, I want that to have an expiration date. I want to incentivize them to come and use it. And that's why packages can be also very helpful. So instead of just giving them something that exists infinitely long, you can truly track what the requirement or the liabilities that you have for your business that you're kind of obligated to fulfill. And of course, with each package, there is a discount that's associated with it that we'll talk about too. So I just so that I can recollect my thoughts here, Graham, do you have anything that you'd like to mention since you're here and everyone seems to be joined in?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for putting this on, I guess, first of all. Cool to see Helm presentation happening outside our organization. And no, just happy to be here. Feel free to toss out questions. I can answer them in the chat as well. Yeah, curious how you end up using the kind of discounts. What we do for ours is we actually have a discount code that's set to things like apology float or gift or like friend of float on. And then rather than having a service, we'll use the discount code and run discount code reports to kind of get the total spent. But yeah, kind of getting at the same thing that you're talking about here with just the ability to track the liability from that. But yeah, nothing in general. And feel free, if you have questions too, Jonathan, to toss them over to me or yeah, whatever's useful. I'll answer the ones that I can.
Okay, I sure will. And I have to say that's kind of one of the cool things about the Helm. I'm like one of these people that love to explore. And honestly, I will try to find loopholes and break things. I don't care if it's the best created software in the world because I like to be able to find creative ways to do things. And absolutely you could use discount codes to be able to utilize these types of packages. But I guess I'll just dive right on in. Like looking at the Helm itself. And again, if anyone's joining this presentation and they're like, I'm completely lost, please let me know and I can kind of just brief you too, just like Graham said. But a couple topics I wanted to bring up involving this. Let's say that we do have somebody that calls to cancel their reservation later in the day. Like, let's say, somebody was scheduled for this 8 o'clock appointment here and they're like, oh, I can't make it. Instead of, just charging them or giving them a pass, you just tell them, well, the system won't even let me cancel. Like we have to be able to run it like this. So, we'll essentially pull up a sale for the individual that we booked. And what we'll do is we'll type in this first time exception. And so you'll notice that it comes to $69 here. So what I use in terms of like discount codes, similar to what Graham just mentioned, is I look at discount codes in multiple ways, but one hugely beneficial way is I consider them flags. And it might not make sense. I know that when I was talking to Helm support once, they were like, what do you mean by flags? So now you'll get a chance to understand what I mean. So if I'm trying to identify somebody, and you'll see in a moment why this is important, I'll identify a policy like a late cancellation. This discount code doesn't actually apply any discount to anything. However, it still applies to the sale so that when I check this out, and this is also set to only be allowed for one person to be able to use it, and I close the sale, they'll have that credit. But when and this is probably the wrong person, is why it's not showing up. Let's see, maybe it's this one. Oh yeah, because I'm an employee. I made a duplicate account for myself. So if you hover over Jonathan Roug here, notice how it says late cancellation. See, for me, it's really valuable to be able to add these discount codes because no matter what, when you hover over that person's account, if they've booked, you'll be able to see some of the history like on demand that can be kind of used to identify them. Now, one strategy that might be important to somebody is, let's say that an individual has a service credit on their account and you don't want to have to charge them, but you don't want to manually discount the service credit or delete the service credit. Because for me, deleting service credits is not really the most ideal way to go about doing things. So I've kind of come up with a strategy for actually offering or switching out things. And that has a lot to do with what I mentioned before with that one service credit called accounting. So I need to sell myself real quickly. I just need to sell myself a float. Like I assumed maybe I'm a member, what have you. I have one on my account. I spent $69 cash to buy that, right? So now I have an account. Let's say I booked later tonight, but I called to cancel. So if I want to use that service credit, I can actually type in that first time exception. And then what I'll do is I'll type in, I think I named it AC to GC. Oh, it's actually, let's find out. So I created another service here called Service Credit Transfer of a different service type. So when I enter that in, it'll allow me to use that existing credit. Now, in your settings, you do need to make sure that this transfers over, because it's going to take the actual amount used to convert it. So then I'm still going to type in my flag like late cancellation here and close. Now what this did was is actually took the other credit that I had purchased earlier and used that as now it's considered an unavailable service credit, and it bought this other credit that now is classified as a cancellation with the expiration. And why this is important, and I will say the Helm actually did release an update that allows you to put a description in for things purchased, which actually may solve a lot of my little workarounds that I've done, which I have to give huge thumbs up to the Helm for that, because that's something that's a game changer, like being able to describe what it is you're purchasing and whatnot. But for us, it all had to do with the fact that when we send an email or when the Helm automates that email, we needed it to describe exactly what was being sold. And when that email comes through, it's going to come through as with this red dot here: cancellation policy, first time exception, 60-minute float journey, 45-day expiration. Because I need the person that's receiving this to know what it is that they're getting and how long they have to rebook. So for like massages, for instance, we'll use a similar concept because we need to still pay our massage therapists, okay? And this might be an issue that some of you guys run into. So like, let's say I canceled the reservation for a massage. So I have a similar concept, first time exception. I believe I set that on massage. Actually, it's just cancellation policy because I'm not giving them 45 days because it's disrespectful if you decide like to no call, no show my massage therapist. Like, you're getting charged. That's the end of it. But how do we make it, instead of just checking them out, I don't want to check out their reservation and then it show green like they attended. I need to be able to keep an account of the fact that they didn't show up and also sell them or send them the no call, no show email that can be automated, or not automated, but can be selected and sent from within the Helm. So I have this cancellation policy, 60-minute massage. Now, it's actually $69, but I set it here at Floatlight to $69.01 to remind our guides when they're canceling reservations to add this other cancellation policy for accounting purposes that will allow me to define which massage therapist this was set for. So massage therapist number 1, massage therapist number 2 didn't get that reservation. It reduces it back down to the normal price. I can put the other flag in, no call, no show, which I created as well. And then I'll know when I'm pulling reports. Now, usually you're running this on a card. When I'm pulling reports, who's getting paid for that massage? You know what I'm saying? And that was something that we kind of found was useful, was utilizing the packages as kind of a wrapper for the services in combination with discount codes used as flags. And just to kind of give you an idea of some of the uses that I've real quickly kind of put together in this demo account was, I use flags for donations, which automatically reduces the cost of a gift card to $0. And I assign a price to every single service. So all services, packages, and gift cards, and I use discount codes to discount them. This prevents my crew employees from accidentally adding something for $0 without actually applying that discount code as well. So let's say I wanted to sell a donated gift card. You'll never sell this in store, but I donate tons. We probably all donate tons of stuff, gift cards and stuff. So I'll have to go through the process setting that up and then adding that additional discount code of donation, which 100% or discounts that gift card or service credit 100%, and then I have a way of accounting for that. So I hope that this, so far, everything that I'm describing kind of makes sense. Do you guys kind of have a pretty good idea of how I'm kind of like moving things from one thing to another using packages as kind of wrappers for other things and discount codes to kind of identify and flag certain things for when I do the accounting, and I'll show you that in a moment too. Does anyone have any questions so far? Everything makes sense? Okay. So one thing that folks really wanted to learn a little bit about was how to account for gift cards. And there's been kind of a debate. I don't know, maybe it's not a debate, maybe it's just how people do accounting, but I do accounting differently than a lot of people, it seems. And Graham and I kind of had a discussion about this one time. But I do my accounting on accrual. A lot of people do their accounting on cash basis. The benefit for me doing accounting on accrual is that I have all of these gift card liabilities that have not been accounted for, but I still have the money sitting in the bank. I don't want to necessarily say, oh, I have all this money, spend it, and also have to claim those on the taxes, So I want to be able to keep a clean track of everything that's happening at my float center. And a lot of people get a little bit like they can't figure out how to come to exactly where they need to be when it comes to figuring out how many liabilities that exist for gift cards in the world. Now, I'm hoping that this demo account doesn't put me in a situation where everything was sold as credits, dollar credits, and not service credits, but we're going to find out right now.
Yeah, it might. I'm actually not sure.
Well, then it would kind of ruin my presentation. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. The point is that even if let me just go back one more here. Just double check. Okay. Yeah, it must be that it's selling. I'll probably be able to pull up my personal helm. I just need to do it carefully here. So hold on one second. Oh, maybe I can't. I wish I could show you. Okay, well, that's all right. Similar concept. Not everybody sells gift cards in dollar amount. Some people actually establish or sell gift cards in service credits, and almost exclusively all my gift cards are sold in service credits. And I think that for me, it has a lot to do with how people are purchasing it online. Like, I want them to purchase service credits of specific services, and then I can create creative ways of utilizing those. Let's see if the data. Oh, here we go. So yeah, it looks like it is all sold or set up that way. So let me just do one thing. If you guys just bear with me for one quick second, I'm actually going to log into my own Helm, and hopefully I can get to a point where it's not exposing personal information. Okay, so I saw a lot of gift cards around the holidays, and many of you guys probably do as well. I want to know how many of those gift cards. Okay, so this is my personal Helm here. I want to know how many of those gift cards I sell around the holidays are actually being used. So, service credits tab. If you're selling gift cards in service credits itself, this is generally how this is done. So, understanding that each of these categories actually really do benefit you, like how you're actually tracking it. But I'm going to set it by month, a year. Total price paid seems to be the best way for me, anyhow, of setting this entire thing up. And I think that's probably going to pull January in there. So I'm just going to go 2 months here. So sold within, and correct me if I'm wrong, Graham, but I'm going to explain how this all works. Sold within is sold within the period that you're defining right here to here. Okay. This status used and unused. So the question that I had was proposed to me was, how do I track the gift cards that were sold within a certain period and used to date? So what you're actually going to do here is you're going to do sold within. So you're defining the period and anything that's sold within this period. And then you're going to actually go to status, and anything that's available is anything that I believe wasn't used. So of all of the gift cards that were sold in this period, there's $40,000 worth of gift cards left remaining. And we did verify that this is correct, and I'm pretty sure that that's how it's done. Yeah, because claim from within gift cards. So claim from within basically means that it's any gift card that is being claimed but redeemed onto an account but has not yet been used. That's why it's not a huge amount. So if anybody's wondering, and I think that was a big question, let me just go to the HelmBot here, captains, because they were asking about that. Oh, actually, the biggest question was Mailchimp integration and marketing, which I can talk about that too. But this was one of the big questions: is how do I get to a point where I can determine in a certain period how many gift cards are left? So theoretically, if I wanted to, I could go from the beginning of time, for me anyway, which is like January 18 or something to that effect. And this is how many gift cards we sell. We sell a lot during, November or whatnot. And then I want to know how many ever have I sold, and I can just click on available, how much is left, and it looks like $145,000 is left available of all those gift cards. And that should account to how much liabilities I have left over or have still yet to are obligated to kind of take care of. And this is not just gift cards. This is all service credits in total. So I apologize about that whole gift card thing. But the way that you can source this by gift cards is by specifically choosing gift cards right here and doing that same concept. Sold within whatever period you're trying to define. So let's say it's to 2020 first, and status used. You compare this status against what's available. So what's used is 19,000. What's available is 33,000. So, and of course, you can do the same thing for membership credits, gift cards, packages, individuals. And I believe that this also will apply for service credits as well, right? Oh no, just credits, regular credits, and that would be anything that represents a dollar amount. So, all right, so I'm going to go back to the demo account here just because I want to not risk exposing any personal information. Now, one of the biggest questions that folks have asked about was Mailchimp in particular. And I can get into that because I actually do have Mailchimp up right here. So Mailchimp is actually pretty awesome when it comes to HelmBot. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with it. And in particular, it's super simple to set up. And I think I did a live stream of how to do that, but I can kind of go through it. So you're going to have to basically, to navigate to how you start setting up Mailchimp is just click on your left icon up here, go down to setup, go to account settings. Then on the left side of that account settings, there's that Mailchimp sync setup, and there's a Mailchimp API and the list ID. What you actually go about doing is in Mailchimp, you get signed up, you just join, what have you, and then you're going to get to your primary page here. So what you'll do is you'll go to account, extras, API keys, and you'll have to create a new key. When you create a new key, there's nothing to it. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just another identifier to where your information is being sent from and how that they can connect to the Mailchimp. Copy this API key number right here and paste it right here. Now you also need to find your list ID, which is going to be under your audiences. Once you determine, you have to create an audience first before it's going to start syncing. And actually, HelmBot makes it pretty clear exactly what you should do. I think it says, no, it actually says somewhere in the Helm, like you should name it, Helm sync list or something, because you don't want to mix this audience with another audience, if that makes sense. You want to try to keep these separate from one another because it's going to help with
on that, sorry to
segmentation.
interrupt, but on that Mailchimp page, there's a little help icon up in the top right. I think your screen's really big, so it doesn't show up that well, but that little, I think that kind of gives the full instructions on exactly how to kind of best practices for setting this up.
Yeah, which is a really good thing. So yeah, anytime you ever see one of these question mark things, sometimes they're hidden, and I even forget that they exist. They'll tell you some really valuable stuff. But yeah, on here it actually says, I believe, to create the group. But make sure that whatever audience you're creating, just make sure it's like Helm sync list. I followed the instructions exactly. So once it starts syncing, then you can actually go about creating automation campaigns. Now, the Helm does have some automation campaigns, and I'll talk about a little bit of that in a second because there's some pretty cool things I've discovered with that. But in campaigns, you can create. It'll take the data that you have from whatever. So, like, if I create a campaign here, and you choose to create a regular email, you'll name it. What do you want to do? Let's say we want to send them a float. We'll send an email after one float. Send email after, and I'd call it first visit, because technically first visit is what you're kind of trying to define here. And this is, for us, it's super important. Like, I want to send an email within 24 hours of them having their service, because that's how we collect feedback. It's how we get guests who are feeling their greatest to go online and start writing about their experience, which we find is super helpful, especially if you connect them directly to the Google review link and directly to the Facebook link that kind of gives them the ability to share. But so when you get this all set up, you will see these synced recipients. Now, because I'm using a demo account, I'm only seeing 3 recipients here, and that's because the demo account by default has everything unsubscribed to mailing list, I believe, because you're not really actually sending anything out. But as an example, there's a couple emails in here, one part of the demo myself, and you essentially define who you're sending this to. So Helm sync list, and then you could go group or news segment, and this is where you can start defining some really unique things. So for instance, all of this data is being synced over from the Helm to Mailchimp for the purposes of being able to trigger automations. So visits is what I use personally. If a visit changes to, let's say, it would be is 1, because before it would be 0. And you can add whatever else you want, like their first last name. And so then once you create this email, anytime a visit changes from 0 to 1, representing that they've actually visited your business and that is synced in real time, this email will automate. It'll either be sent out right away, and you can define that too with Mailchimp. Well, it's not letting me right now because there needs to be at least 1 subscriber, but we don't have any subscribers. But it'll actually ask you when you want to send this out, and you can define it like right away. You can, usually what I do is I'll only send out emails that are automated at 10 a.m. the next business day, because I don't want somebody getting an email at, on a Saturday at 10 a.m. or something. They're just not going to read it, or it's going to get stuck in their mailbox. So that's how that works. And I actually have one set up with multiple triggers. I mean, I'm using triggers for X amount of visits, and the Helm describes this too. You can have 50 visits. Like, I have a guest now that just hit 100 floats, and I had to create and invent this huge, crazy, awesome email that is probably going to be reused for other guests that hit 100 floats. But it's like you need to have a celebration for that, right? So that's a really cool thing. And you could have it be where it's X amount of dollars spent, or this, so or segment it to where they live, because you're gaining data from their location and all these different things, and that presents some pretty unique strategies for marketing and automation, and hugely valuable. With that said, here's something really cool you might not have known. I wonder if you know, Graham. Again, it's kind of funny because I find things that I don't even know, and I think your developers have to know that this is something, but you might be using. Depends, how it's written. But here's the thing: you guys might not even realize this, but all emails in the Helm can use HTML tags, some HTML tags. Now, this might be blowing your mind right now because maybe you want to send out an email with an image. Well, you can. You could all along. You just have to know how to do it. And I'll show you how. So the Helm has, generally speaking, probably doesn't want to get you invested in trying to learn HTML, okay? Because it's too much. When you're developing software, you're trying to balance simplicity and feature sets, and sometimes it can get a little bit convoluted if you add too much. So this might be too much for you to see, but like, let's say I want to be able to send out an image or a picture.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt again, Jonathan. Is it easy to zoom in on your browser for looking at that code?
I'm sorry.
Or zoom in on part of the window?
Can definitely do
cool. Yeah, that might help with viewing at least some of the smaller text.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. And so if you guys are wondering what I just pulled up here, this is just an HTML. It's a way of putting in basic HTML and then having it output whatever it is you wrote. And this is a useful tool if you're creating like HTML driven emails and you just want to know exactly what that email is going to look like. So all of this code that I wrote here has been thoroughly tested and works for emails. So for instance, if you want to send an image, and it seems complicated, but once you figure it out, it's pretty easy. So you can define an image using an image tag source, and you can just look up image tag on Google and copy it. Find the location of the image that you want to put in the email. You add that. You can even define the size, the length, the width, what have you. You can even add a hyperlink, which is the A tag here, and then define a location. So, like for instance, if I click on that, it'll bring me to the website that I'm trying to get them to go to. Of course, it's going to accept. I think that these are strong tags, which is the same thing as hitting Control B on the Helm. And I think that the emails will take that bold tag. And when I was looking at the code, it's actually taking it and turning it into a strong tag. So that's how I initially discovered that this would work. And I started testing all of this different HTML to see what I could get away with. And I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I can do all this really cool stuff. One thing that's really valuable is an unordered list, which allows you to do stuff like lists, you see. So this is a way of utilizing what the Helm already has, but giving it a little bit of a visual flair as opposed to everything left justified, same font. You can use H2 tag, for instance, which is a header tag to kind of increase the size and whatnot. And this all renders perfectly out in an email. And same thing with that telephone link too. If you put TEL : and then the link, it'll actually pull up the phone number on any device that you're using. Some modern email clients actually automate that, but so that's something kind of cool. Did you know that, Helm? Or did you know that, Graham? That you could do that?
There are some kind of more advanced functionalities that you can do on some things, but again, like we decided to not do a fully integrated HTML editor for right now, mainly because of the support, because we're such a small company. So if you do get stuck and mess up your own emails doing HTML, you'll have to contact Jonathan for support on that.
So, disclaimer there. Well, I have to say, though, I like that some of this stuff is discovered. One thing that's really cool about the Helm is that there'll be like little secret things that I find, and I'm like, oh my God, I could do that. And it's kind of part of the discovery process.
To be fair, most of those we probably should point out a little better. So there's definitely some room for us to grow and share a little more too.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you kind of mentioning that. I mean, I personally think that you guys do pretty good content drops and as far as like the developer log, so to speak. Um, and you can easily see that if anyone's kind of viewing this. I'm sure you probably already know, but by going to this "What's New" tab here and kind of checking out like all the different cool things. This is kind of where I was mentioning before. Like it's like Christmas when I see cool stuff because it really is. It's like Graham, I have to tell you, when I found out that you could set expirations on gift cards, I threw a party at my business. I needed that feature so bad, and
Oh, good, good.
yeah, and the great thing about the Helm is too is that you have this help and feedback tab. And I'm serious, these guys they respond instantly. It's like amazing, and they're so nice. So yeah, definitely utilize that feature too, and just a really great thing about the Helm. Um, And I know I was kind of a little bit all over the place. It's kind of weird that I'm giving the presentation, but at the same time, I'm honored to do that because I'm a user. Like I think that if anybody, I've been kind of helping people learn the Helm, and I'm very passionate about it. I truly mean that. I love the software. That's in no way like representative of any organization. It's just me, and that's why I was like, let me just do this and let's talk about it. There's a lot more things that I can share about the Helm, but I kind of just wanted to leave it open to anybody who has questions. But before we do that, I need to ask if, and maybe Graham might be able to answer this, but there's one question I had, and I'm just going to put myself back. A feature of the Helm that you believe, or any of the developers have mentioned, that is kind of underused and that maybe should be used more.
Oh yeah, I thought that was a good question. I mean, to be honest, there are quite a lot, like traveling around and getting to check out different float centers. Like I actually get to see kind of behind the scenes on how some of their Helm use is going. But honestly, I think the biggest one is really task generators, probably tasks and task generators. I think is really underutilized. I mean, we use that for all of our project and task management and internal communication, and especially in our float center. Like to give you an idea, for Float On, we probably have over 200 tasks that generate every day for our shop. Um, and the way we use them is largely with employee input and employee definitions. So the reason we have so many is because just a bunch of different things come up. Like someone will be cleaning out the dehumidifier and realize that it's getting really gunky in the back, and comment on it. It's like, okay, make a task generator to clean that out once a month, and then we just never forget about it. Right? It pops up and everyone does that thing. So it's both brilliant for just staying on top of everyday tasks and making sure they're getting done, but also especially those things that happen so infrequently that you often forget about them. Especially, yeah, replacing filters, cleaning nooks and crannies, stuff like that. I mean, yeah, we pretty much just live off of our task system. So it's always interesting to travel around and see float centers that are set up with still like they're on the Helm and they automate everything, but they still have little like laminated checklists in their back room to manage their tasks rather than using the task system. So that's definitely, yeah, I think one of the biggest ones. Some of the other things I think get more into operations. Like I do think anyone who's not taking advantage of memberships and membership offerings in the Helm should. I think over 80% of float centers usually, when we're asking the industry report, have some form of membership, but it means that 1 out of 8, 1 out of 5 float centers actually is not offering memberships of any type. So the Helm makes it super easy. I recommend getting into that. I think memberships are the lifeblood of your float center. If you're not already offering it, you'll soon find that out. And other than that, really poking around, I think a lot of people are kind of intimidated sometimes with the amount of time that is taken up by everything in their business, much less their software. But I do kind of recommend setting aside some time just to poke around, or, again, we use task generators. So might maybe set up something for once a month to just spend a couple hours seeing if there's any places you can improve your Helm. I'm always shocked whenever I go to look at my auto emails, how long it's been since I've actually touched them. And yeah, and poking around, you might just find some stuff that's really useful. Yeah, Jonathan talked a little bit about Helm philosophies, but one of ours is making it so that it's really hard to mess things up without obviously doing it. So poking around, making new things, like everything will kind of start disabled. There's sort of no way for you to screw up your own setup without, again, being like pretty obvious that that's what you're doing. So that's kind of my biggest advice: is play around and don't really be too afraid of breaking things, because we made it pretty hard to break.
Well, that's why I love the Helm. It's a wonderful thing, and also use comments. Like, comments are amazing. It's amazing like how predictive they are too. Like if somebody else closes the sale and an administrator or somebody that's doing like accounting or something comments on that, it'll actually reach out to the person who closed the sale and the therapist who actually, serviced the appointment, which makes sense. Like, so it's reaching out to multiple people, and it's intelligent in that way. So I really appreciate that feature for sure. Does anyone here have any questions?
I saw one come in chat for, can someone be in more than one referral program? Which they totally can, yeah. You'll have to choose which one is active, I believe, at a given time. Like, I think you can sign them up for it. You might actually have to remove one. So you can't be actively in one referral or more than one referral program at a time, I believe.
I just realized there was a chat, so my apologies.
No worries. I've been kind of tuning in on that. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see here.
And question about making a payment on them. Oh, by the way, for the referral program, also, you should totally just ask our help and support to make sure I got that right too. I should not be the one who has the final answer on what is and isn't possible in the Helm.
Well, you can
especially for
set up
things I don't use as
multiple
much.
referrals, and actually, you guys just launched a feature now where you can set a referral program automatically for anyone that becomes a certain member of something.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I like that feature too. So, like, if you have more incentive to refer people as a member, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say, that can automate them getting that specific referral deal as opposed to the general one that you're offering. One thing that we do at Floatlight is we use that single use auto discount is invaluable. Like, seriously, it defines how we do business. Every guest who comes to Floatlight gets that discount code, and it gives them the second visit discounted. Because see, and there might be some people that have different strategies, but we never discount services. Like, we just don't. We really try not to do that. Instead, we discount the second visit because we understand that somebody's got to flow a couple times before they're actually going to start to get connected and caught into this. There's a huge majority of people that need to do that. So giving them an incentive to come back at a lower cost as opposed to a higher cost is super valuable to them. And using that single use auto discount takes any of the effort away from having to figure out if this person's been here once before. So let's see. How to set up a member automatically.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the one before it, though. I could tackle, which is make a payment on a membership before the next due debit. There's kind of two ways to do it. You could, excuse me, let me take a sip of tea. So there's kind of two ways to do it. One is you can actually go in and I think renew. Actually want their next float to be a month from when they're paying for ahead of time. That's how you do that. The other way is if you're not using account credit for anything too complicated in your system. There are some account credit workarounds that some people have. Memberships look for account credit before they use regular payment or charge a credit card. So if you add account credit and have someone through a sale pay for account credit on their account early, then when that membership comes up, if they haven't used the account credit for anything else in the meantime, that'll apply to their membership renewal. So that would be the way to do that.
And I can kind of,
if you didn't want to change the renewal date, yeah.
Yeah, and I can kind of just show what Graham was just mentioning. On a guest profile, you'll actually see the membership type here, which hasn't been charged because this is a demo account from a while ago. But point is that you can actually set the renewal date, but you can just do the next renewal date now. But it will still, like Graham was saying, maintain that same set time. Now, there's really something cool, and a bunch of us on the HelmBot Captains, a Facebook group, kind of figured out that this is like maybe the best way. If somebody calls to cancel their membership, instead of saying, oh, no problem, we'll cancel you, no problem. We tell them, well, we have a couple options. If you cancel now, you're either going to lose your credits. It depends your policy, or you have this amount of time to use them, blah, blah, blah. But we can set you to, and this was especially valuable during the pandemic, we can set you to any time in the future that you define based on your policy. And you can do that by actually selecting the blue text here. And I know that some of you guys are probably going to say, I can't really see that. I hope that you can see now. But you can select this blue text here, and you can select whichever day in the future you'd like the membership to renew. The great thing about doing this is that setting it to, like, let's say September 8th, we've negotiated that that's a good time. You can tell them you maintain all the benefits of the membership, and your credits don't expire depending on how you set up your membership, because there is some variables there. I believe that if, for instance, your membership was set up to have the expiration credits expire immediately after they're sold, but then there's one where they can be expired after they pause. If you have it set to where they're expired after they pause, then setting the expiration date into the future keeps those credits valid. And you do have to make one quick judgment call, like don't ever set their membership past their expiration on their credit card, because then naturally you're not going to get that auto bill. But you'd be surprised at how many people stay part of your membership because they just needed to go on vacation for 2 weeks and they were worried that they'd forget about their membership or something. But then, then they're like, oh yeah, just set it for September because I'm going to the Bahamas or something for a month. And then they actually stay on. And that's a hugely valuable feature after we've kind of figured out that's something that can be done. So, oh yeah, and HTML tags can also be used in the email for the membership too. Let's offer any perspective on if when purchase event functionality back on.
Oh yeah, I can tackle that one. Yeah, very much looking forward to having that back as well. If you don't already know what is going on with that, basically Apple and Facebook kind of got in a war between each other, we'll call it. And the end result is that Facebook has launched an entire new domain verification system for needing to track their ads successfully to your pixel. The unfortunate thing is that they've provided almost no support for multi subdomain domains. So like, with us, we have blank.floathelm.com. So if everyone had their own domain, which is kind of impossible for a system like ours, then this wouldn't be a problem at all. But because we are set up as subdomains, we need to be on, there's kind of two solutions, neither one of which is very great right now. So what we're really hoping is that Facebook responds to the thousands and thousands of companies, many of which are much bigger than us, who are writing into them, telling them they need to come up with a good solution for exactly this problem. But they're basically, there's a volunteer list of domains that exist out there that are considered top level domains. It's the public suffix list, which is volunteer maintained just by some people who are passionate programmers who are super into maintaining this list to make the internet a slightly better place. And Facebook was like, hey, you just need to put your name on that list. So as soon as they announced that all the volunteers got overwhelmed with tens of thousands of people on Facebook who were like, hey, we can't track our ads. You need to put our name on this list. And they just stopped approving everything.
Their GitHub comment section exploded.
It's crazy. It's a really ridiculous. And they were just like, I can't believe Facebook did. Facebook didn't even tell them they were going to say that. Facebook just announced that one day with no notification to the volunteer list. So yeah, we're trying to get on that list currently, but our chances are probably limited in the short term. The other thing that we can do is push events to people's websites, but that'll take reviewing some privacy concerns with pushing things out of the Helm, and kind of a big update to some integrations that we can do to the website, which is what we'll end up doing if Facebook does not offer any other solutions. It would just suck to build this in and either halfway through building it or we finish the entire thing and then Facebook actually has a pretty easy way to do this that's better and doesn't have to push things off of Helm. So we're kind of in a waiting pattern, unfortunately, right now. And it's all Facebook's fault. It is not the public suffix list's fault or anything. It's just Facebook for really not supporting what is like a huge amount of their clients who are actually running Facebook tracking on basically like little sub apps of these broader apps. So yeah, Helm's not the only one facing this. There's lots of other big companies that have the exact same issue. Yeah, and it sucks. And eventually, it's been several weeks since they even announced their be pushing actions to websites as like a supported solution. Uh, and that feels like a holdover. So, coming up soon, we'll have to make the decision on whether or not to pull the trigger on designing this system that might go out of date very quickly, or harassing Facebook and seeing if they actually have a timeline for developing something new. But no. And this is, by the way, reporting after spending hours and hours on both the phone and chat with Facebook support, which is time that I very much wish that I could have back if I seem bitter about this whole experience. But yeah, that's the full update and kind of the background to it. So yeah, pretty lame situation, and hopefully we'll get it resolved sooner rather than later.
And Graham, just so you know, because I was talking to your devs during that whole time too. I appreciate you putting the time in to make sure that those features were maintained. And this is kind of an issue that all companies who host subdomains have. It's not just the Helm. So I don't, nobody can just jump anywhere and just expect that this is going to work. It really is everybody, and the scope of it just seems way beyond anything that anyone can do right now. Doesn't matter how skilled of a programmer you are, there's nothing you can do about it. So
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. There's like one other workaround for adding partners into your Facebook page as well to get super nerdy, but Facebook at the same time also restricted the total number of events you can have to 8. So there's no way to, like, you could have 8 total Helm people who have one event each, and then that's it. So there's no way to actually expand that, which is unfortunate. So they also at the same time took away the one workaround that they had provided previously, which I'm sure was on purpose. Like, this is all, yeah, to really restrict the amount of tracking that people can do legitimately. So, I mean, the end result is kind of cool. The end result should be better internet privacy for us, the end users. But yeah, as a company going through this, like, it sucks.
So I wanted to just answer Janine Mills' question. Do they retain the same membership price when you pause it? So this is how it works. If you push that little toggle, you'll maintain the same setup if you toggle between on and off. In fact, the Helm is pretty cool in that if you toggle it off, but they toggle it back on before the credits expire, it'll actually, if you have that setting set up where in the settings for the membership where it says expire after pause, it'll actually, if the membership is unpaused, any unexpired service credits will have their expirations extended to the original date, which is a really cool feature. So the only way then that you can get new prices or new setup costs associated with a membership is if you sell that customer a new membership that was created in the Helm. And in fact, the Helm actually says, like, if you change this price, it's not going to reflect any of the current guests because they're already on that set structure, which is a good thing. That's where Graham was talking about, like, we don't make it so that you can mess things up too much, because that could really mess things up, Anyone else have any other questions? Or Graham, do you happen to see anybody that we might have missed?
No, I think other than the how to set up a member automatically question, which I didn't quite understand. So if you still have that one, feel free to type it back in, maybe a different way, and happy to answer that.
It might be that maybe what you're saying is you could send out an automated email, like, let's say after 2 visits, where you can use how when you're looking at service credits or anything that's sellable, there is an online store purchasable by customers in your online store, and you can hover over the blue text next to it where it says visit your online store. There's a visit, solo, and secret. If you could link, for instance, the solo link to that email where they're like, purchase our membership now, and here's the hyperlink, and it will take them directly to that location. And there's a benefit into doing so, and that's to alleviate confusion, because you don't want to send somebody directly to a store that has all these different options. The Helm is smart because it's saying, like, here's a link to just that solo item, and that's what you need to do to be able to get that person. And sometimes, like for me, it might be a little unconventional, but I don't sell a membership. I keep that hidden I only sell a membership to somebody who's been to Floatlight twice, and that's after using that single-use auto discount. And then through that third email, if I didn't close the sale on after their second visit, which we really usually do because it's pretty undeniable that you want to float, my friend. But you will send that secret link, and then the box is checked not purchasable by the online store. And by doing so, it's not available to the public. It's only available to that one individual that you sent the secret link to. And that's some more advanced stuff too, but really useful to know.
And I would put that in a list of probably like underused features as well as like the solo and secret links and the discount code links as well, where you can grab a custom link from discount codes. If you go and click on any discount code or any service, you'll kind of see the links that we're talking about if you browse around there and hover your mouse for tooltips if you're confused. But yeah, those we use all the time, right? So if we're running a holiday special, for our link, we don't just link them over to the store. We link them over to the store with a certain discount code applied for our holiday special already in there, which is great. Again, just go into your discount code and you'll find a link that you can copy and paste in for your emails. And same, yeah, if you're really trying to pitch a membership, for example, on an auto email, copying that solo link so that when they get that email, they're not confused by the entire store or distracted by your single float offerings. They're just getting a page that only has that membership on it. Super useful. So definitely taking advantage of that, I think, is a great idea. And it does look like, yeah, Gina clarified too for asking about enrolling a member into a referral program automatically. I believe you might even know better than I do, Jonathan, but I believe that's within the membership area.
It is.
Not the
It
okay.
is.
Yeah,
It's
not
under
the
the
referral
membership
area.
settings.
Yeah.
So right here, and let me just zoom in. In the membership settings, so there's the membership types, and I'll show you. You make a membership. Right down here under the auto apply discount code, there's an auto enroll memberships in referral programs, and I want to get them in the share a float program. So that's what I kind of did there. And that's how it's set up. You just hit save and boom. I would assume then that anyone who joins automatically is in that referral. If they were in a different referral, I haven't done any testing yet to see what that looks like, but I would assume it probably just switches their referral type.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, very nice. And it auto unenrolls them if they leave the membership as well.
So if a member has an auto discount applied, how does that prevent them from getting the same discount for online purchases, such as buying a gift card for a friend? So you can prevent it because you're defining, and I think this question might have actually been asked before, but under discount codes, you can define like what things are being applied to discounts. So like if you put $10 on all gift cards, it's going to apply to all gift cards. But some of your gift cards you might sell in store or online. Now, here's something that you should probably know, Janine. And I believe I set it up this way. Perfect. Notice how I have 60-minute float gift card with this little globe. That's because I defined that to only be sold online with a prefix and a suffix of 21 online GC, online gift card service credit 60. And I have one that's called in store. So I can actually prevent, by utilizing these different gift card packages, by defining that there's ones that can be sold in store, ones that can be sold online. And that way, when I'm setting up that membership discount code, I can choose which gift cards they're getting. So if I only want it to apply to the gift card in store, I'll just apply it to just gift cards in store, like so. Does that make sense? And I think that's what, Graham, you were talking about when you were mentioning gift cards and how you do the accounting with those, because you can make as many gift card series as you want. Again, it's just another one of those layers that allow you to wrap things into things that can be really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. And philosophically too, I should say that at FloatOn, we've always viewed it as, if members want to buy discounted gift cards for their friends, like it's actually kind of great. I give tons of discounts and free floats just trying to get people in for our services. So Again, not an actual Helm feature, but just a little Graham philosophy I thought I'd sprinkle on top of that software advice there.
So somebody had a question real quickly too about what my referral program is. This is going to be a little bit complicated, but I actually created $10 float bucks, and it's actually a service credit that applies to services. And it might not even be necessary that I do this anymore, but it goes back many years when I was doing account credit, and there was an issue where account credit was getting rolled into my accounting methods accrual. So when I was applying account credit to a sale, it was showing that somebody was paying, like, to me anyway, it showed that it was paying real money for a service, and I needed to not allow that to happen. So that's the reason I do this whole float bucks thing. But it's just another weird creative way of doing something. Instead of giving them account credit, you could name something float bucks, and the way that I do that is by creating a service called float bucks. And it's a float, and because of the setting that allows me, and maybe I should just real quickly show this in the shop settings. It would be under sales logic. You can define discount codes allowed in. It's this one. When upgrading a service to another, you can define preserve the original discount only for upgrades from and to the same service type. I don't want them to use account credit that's given that's given on float bucks, because it doesn't represent a real money value, and them use that on a massage where I'm paying a commission split, and my massage therapists need to know that this service is going to be maintained. So that means that $10 float bucks only holds its value for floats in the same service type. But if it was tried to be used on, let's say, a massage, it would represent no value. And that's kind of what we do for our referral. But you could also just do that for, like, hey, here's $10 that you can use only on a float, right? And that's a way of doing it. Yeah. I've come up with some pretty weird strategies. I can see Graham over here just like,
wow. Oh no, sorry. I was just having like a little flashback to actually like getting all of these rules working properly and designing that feature in the first place. All of the upgrades for service credits. It was like a beautiful mind kind of thing where our whiteboard is just like overflowing onto our walls, and there's so many like interactions of products. Anyway, no, ignore me. That was
no, that's okay. No, I think it's genius though, because it allowed me to be able to do these types of things. So very, very useful feature, and so I hope that kind of helped. So yeah, we're getting on just a little bit over an hour here. Unless somebody has any real like last questions, I just want to give a real quick shout out to a few things. Yesterday, I'm sure many of you attended the Float Research Collective. It was fantastic. I definitely just want to give a shout out to say anybody who hasn't learned about this or hasn't had a chance to research it or just look into it, definitely check that out at clinicalflotation.com/Float Research Collective. I actually also want to give a shout out to the Float Conference that's happening August 27th and 29th, because it's amazing, and I'm going to be there, and I hope to see all your beautiful faces there too. Floatconference.com if you're looking for tickets. Of course, a shout out to the FTA. This is kind of who brought you this presentation. You can join the FTA where we have member-only content. This one is public, but there's a lot of value there. You can join or consider joining the FTA by heading over to floatation.org. We are looking for committee members. We're looking for people to do things like I'm doing here. I'm not a board member. I just love to help and contribute and do weird stuff and awesome things. So I'm part of a committee, and we'd love to have other people part of the committees too, because it's cool to be able to have multiple people there. Also, I got to give the biggest, hugest shout out to HelmBot, because I love HelmBot. You guys are just amazing. I love you guys. HelmBot.com. If anybody has not, learned a little bit about HelmBot, they'll actually give you a demo to work with, and they're so like, they have this like human-centric business mentality. I hope it's okay that I say that, Graham. But
despite having bot in our name, no, it's all right. I'll let you off the hook this time, human.
Oh, HelmBot? What did I say?
No, you did. You're saying it's very human-centric, and I was saying, I don't mind you saying that. I'll let you off the hook as a bot-centric software.
Like the way you think, like the way that you set things up. Like, oh yeah, you're going to add a room, but you're not going to have any services yet. We're not going we're not going to necessarily get you going on that. You can use it, experiment until you're ready, and that makes sense to me. It's just you guys are very, very accommodating, and I love that. Also,
Yeah, and a shout out as well, just to our programming team and lead programmer. I think I've rarely heard no so many times in my entire life, but he just does a great job of questioning all of our crazy ideas. And I think, yeah, that's largely why it's so we're fine. So yeah, there's a really good team, definitely involved in the development.
awesome. And also, this is an unofficial Facebook group, but very, very valuable resource. If anybody out there uses the Helm, and you got to use the Helm to be part of the group. We're really restrict people from joining just to be part of it. But if you use the Helm and you'd like to kind of learn more about what we talked about today, but bounce ideas off everybody, including Graham and the developers, that sometimes make an appearance and talk too on there. Facebook.com/group/HelmBot captains, and we're all captains there, running our own ships, right? So definitely check that out. But yeah, that's everything for today. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much, Graham, for all of your assistance in helping me kind of navigate the helm a little bit and teach others.
Good, good nautical word choice there. I appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful
Bye,
evening.
everyone.
We'll see everyone later.